So, a great big warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today in this first snowstorm of winter, which I feel is very exciting. I know many of us wouldn't be going into the office anyway because we mostly work remote, but for some reason, it still feels really special to me. And I'm going to start a fire in my fireplace later, which I wouldn't normally do at 1 o'clock on a Thursday. Um, so somehow the snow feels a little bit more festive in this holiday season, especially. For those of us that like snow anyway, I guess it's always a matter of perspective, like everything is in life. Um, I've had so many conversations with folks, and it seems like usually this time of year, folks are talking about how excited they are for a new year to start, to hit that restart button. And this year, it feels like the conversations are so different. It feels like the conversations are much, much more about I can't wait for this year to end. And I feel like more and more people are talking about that. And I understand there's been so much uncertainty, there's been loss, there's been change. I've felt it all too. I'm right there with it um, every day and with you every day in this journey. The tendency is to make the situation that we're in, the challenge, wrong, right? It's to really gripe about it. It's to slam the door shut and dismiss what we're going through. But there's so much for us to learn. I feel like this year more than ever, um, it's time to just pause, right? So instead of you looking at this year as an opportunity to just leave it all behind, I'd really like for you to sit with me in the discomfort of this year and just pause. And I'm a firm believer, as you know, that when there's challenges, there are for sure some lessons. And mostly we get caught up in the challenge and we miss what those lessons are, only to have to learn them over and over again, year after year after year. Please hear me when I say things don't change, we change. We change. How we view the world changes, how we view ourselves changes. That's what changes. So I do honestly, truly believe that every lesson, everything happens to move us closer to love and to health and to connection and success. The challenge, I guess, the discomfort is what gets us to pay attention, right? It's that contrast that we talk about. When things show up differently than we expected or we wanted, we feel uncomfortable. And we felt uncertainty, we felt that discomfort, we felt the challenge, which makes 2020 such an amazingly educational um, year with enough lessons to probably last us all 2,500 lifetimes. So if that is the case, I really give us an opportunity to think and act differently because of what we learned in this year. So it's time to harvest those little gems that have come up for all of us throughout so that we can carry them into this life box and use them for good in our life and to also help make the world an even better place because we have learned the lessons and now we're willing to share them. So I also believe that we're meant to learn together by sharing our experiences. So throughout the course of my day, I share vulnerably, and in all of the work that I share with you, I share vulnerably. So what I'd like to share with you today is what I'd like to offer you is my top three most valuable lessons from 2020. So perhaps yours are different. Hopefully they are. Um, but I've experienced this year just like the rest of us. And these have felt really, really important to me. And they have felt like they've set me up for success in every area of my life. And it set me up for success in my health and my happiness, my relationships with my family and my friends and my colleagues. And they've especially set me up in my career and how I show up here with all of you. So they've these tips I've integrated in, and I know we've had a head start since March to start learning these lessons. So throughout the summer, I took a deep pause at the end of August. In September, I spent some time in reflection. In October, I spent some time in reflection. And what these three tips have done for me is they've given me an opportunity to break free from fear and doubt and and also break some long-standing habits that have kept me stuck, quite honestly. So I'm hoping that they'll do the same for you. It's my offer, it's my gift. I know we all have different lessons to learn, but let me share with you the top three in my life from 2020. So for me in 2020, it felt like we were reminded of how precious life really is, right? So many of us have gone out of our way to protect our health and to protect the health of the people that we like and that we love. And the whole world, it felt like anyway, early on, was singularly focused on this, right? It's just so important that, especially in March and April and the spring, we got crystal clear that without our physical and what we learned throughout the rest of the year and our mental health, nothing else matters. So with our health, we have everything. Anything else just seems like it's such a bonus when everything has been skinnied down so much. Um, thanks to 2020, we know that with all of those distractions cleared, like the shopping, the events, commuting, parties, we've had time to ourselves, and we've also had time with the people in our pod to get really clear. And what I felt like we got clear on was that the quality of our life depends on how we are physically and mentally. And I know for me, it made it a crystal clear vision that I'm going to focus my time and energy on that. So I ask you that same question. If we got clear that our health, our mental and our physical health are what makes us happy and productive and connected, might it be a higher priority on your list now? Are you more motivated to take care of yourself, to enjoy your life, right? This one life that we've been gifted. Um, I know that that really shifted for me, and I get to do this for a living, so I'm pretty focused anyway on my physical and mental health. But this year, if I was dragging and didn't want to go out to walk, um, somehow this became clear to me, and I would go out at 10 o'clock at night when it was safe to do that. Or if I was making the decision between something with a high vibrational food or low vibrational food, I chose them both, but I would definitely choose the higher vibrational food as often as I possibly could. So I, like everyone else, was faced with myself in those decisions every single solitary day. And I think the good news is that more people who had sworn off coaching or therapy came back or started a practice in droves this year, with me, with others. I've spoken with several other coaches and therapists who are so busy they can't keep up. And so if we want things to be different, we have to learn at building skill to think and act differently. And it's just a skill set, right? We're not broken. We don't have a character flaw. It's just a skill, and we can build it any time that we want. And so this year helped me get very clear that I value it, and other things. So with all of those distractions gone, what I also got really clear about is what I value in other areas of my life. When you take something away, or you're kind of pinched down to the basics, you really zone in on how important something was or wasn't to you. And, I know, as the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Well, that's not just in relationships, that's in anything that you want to experience in life. Absence from your work, absence from experiences, not having it or access to it, or having it be really, really difficult to experience, really causes us to appreciate how important, or again, not important, something is to you. So in our everyday lives, how can you create clarity so that you don't have to get pinched off or closed off or have the world shut down in order for you to live what you value? And we all value really, really different things. I'm not making judgment on what you do or don't, but because things are seemingly more limited, they're more expansive, because we have less and less and less to distract us from what we're really, really clear about. So when there's challenge, we feel it, and we have an opportunity to come into a whole different way of being. So in our everyday lives, the invitation is to get mindful. Really, can you get quiet? Can you journal? Can you find some quiet time for yourself? Especially as the world opens up again. I know we're starting to get, or physicians are starting to get immunizations, but before we jump back into the world, start developing the habit that's going to give you an opportunity to step into it more fully when there are more distractions. So, can you develop a mindfulness practice? That could be super simple. It could be 5 extra minutes in the shower or a couple extra minutes with a piece of paper and a pen. I have a morning routine that I count on for peace and ease and grounding and simplicity and love and abundance. And it feels wonky at times, just like it probably does for all of you. If you have a practice, it's not always perfect. Um, I think I've probably shared this with you before. My meditation teacher shared with us, the purpose of meditation is not to be good at meditation. The purpose of meditation is to really get good at self. Like, how do we come into being? How do we interpret the world? How do we want to show up and play in the world? And a mindfulness practice can help us do that. So that morning routine is gold to me. I never miss it. It's wonky, and on those days where it's wonky, I just let that be too. So the invitation is to just allow the distractions to fall away so that you can get really, really clear on what this year taught you, or what any year teaches you, or what any day within a year teaches you, so that you can make it a higher priority. If you deem something to be of incredible value to you, like freedom, one of the things I learned this year was just how much I value my freedom, because so much of it was taken away. And so now, as I'm going to teach you to do in a little bit, I really value it. I appreciate it every day. And I find ways to have freedom that's safe for me and for folks. And I'm just much more mindful that I create it from here. It's not something that's given to me. So that was probably a number one lesson. The second lesson, maybe I shouldn't put these in priority order, but another really important life lesson for me, and a gem that I've harvested in 2020, was that we can absolutely, positively, without question or doubt, do hard things. And for any of you who have read Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't read it, please do. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful exploration of how things are hard and how you can really shift your life and your perspective to receive the hard lesson and to make choice. And I would say 2020 has handed that to us on a silver platter. Remember when you used to think or worry about things that felt too hard to do, or not being good enough at something, or, maybe it was a specific thing. Maybe it was just worry or doubt or fear that you couldn't change a job that you wanted to change, or that you couldn't possibly handle the salary cut, or it was just so hard to have a hard conversation with your mother or your partner or your sister or your brother or your colleague or your employee. And maybe you thought it was going to be really, really hard to end a friendship or a relationship, or you thought it would be really hard to start new friendships and relationships. Or maybe you worried or thought it was really hard to take a stand for what you really believe. Let's take a little gander back at 2020. Didn't we have opportunity to practice any of that, or all of it, right? In some instances, we've had a chance to practice all of it. And it almost does seem laughable to me now that I thought any of those things were hard, or that I couldn't get beyond the block in order to experience them. So again, maybe you had a chance to practice some of these things too. How did it go? You're on this webinar, so you're still breathing, which is excellent. You have electricity, right? I'm guessing. I see lights are on, computers have been plugged in. You're burning down your battery if you don't have electricity, but you chose to be here. And you're dressed, right? You have clothing. You all look so lovely. You all have, wow, some of you have lipstick on. Nicely done. So I want to commend you and congratulate you. You did it. You did really, really, really hard things this year. So when things feel hard or uncertain, draw on this inner strength now, right? Like, think of it as a muscle. And I've used this analogy so many different times. Like, the more you practice something, the stronger you get. And so now you've had a chance to practice some discomfort and some uncertainty and some contrast this year. So you have this inner strength now to create from within. So I say this so much, and I'm hearing it every time I say it too. We have so much more control over how we experience this world and this life and these people and these jobs and the economy and our government and everything else than we've ever thought imaginable. And so it really is time to get liberated. We've started seeing this in so many small and big ways this year. The liberation is within, and there's more liberation within you to tackle those hard things that you have left to deal with. Many of them you've been presented with, many of them you've dealt with. Maybe you're exhausted, maybe you have Zoom fatigue and job search fatigue and relationship fatigue and sweatpant and legging fatigue, or staring at the same four walls fatigue, or not being able to cross state borders fatigue. I know. And, and when you get pinched off and things seem like they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, remember that's to help you get clear about what you value. Now that you know what you value, you can make it more of a priority, as we just learned. And then when all that other stuff starts to calm down, because you're focusing on the things that really matter, you have more energy and joy and skill and comfort and state of mind to do those hard things. Whatever's left for you, whatever you have left to deal with, you've been building this muscle all year. And I will bring this back to me. I've been building this muscle every day this year, and I'm starting to feel stronger and stronger, and like I'm accomplishing more and more and more from within, because our usual tools or our usual distractions don't exist. So now it is on us. And that's also the good news too. We have so much control and energy from within to draw on. So that being the case, so now you're clear and you're taking the time to get clear, as I do every day. And you are now drawing on that strength, as I've drawn on this strength this year, to accomplish anything. Changes in my health, changes in my relationships, changes in the way that I do business, the way that I connect with folks, the way that I show up in the world. There's more good news. Like this third lesson that I learned is kind of teed up, or was teed up beautifully for me this year, standing on the shoulders of those other two lessons. And this is such a reminder. And if you've ever been to my office, or you've been on a Zoom call with me, or another webinar where this might be in the background, you see I have a poster of this right in the background, which is, we create what we focus on. And so my other top lesson in 2020 was that really, really clearly, we are focused on certain things. And because of our focus, we're creating other things. So when things are hard, we focus on them being hard and we create limits. We're also focused on finding all of the other hard stuff to focus on, right? It's like when you buy a red car, don't you see a red car everywhere? It's because our mind is trained to create safety. And so it starts looking around going, okay, that feels safe and normal. I have a red car, I see other red cars. Oh, social proof that buying a red car is an okay thing to do. So we do that too. It's like, I'm focused on hard. I want to be safe. My nervous system wants to be safe. I'm going to scan around. What are all the other hard things that I need to pay attention to? And I'm going to be super diligent about worst case scenario so that I can feel safe. The problem with that is, or not a problem, but the invitation in that is to really notice that if we create what we focus on, what are we creating more of? We are creating more that causes a sense of anxiety or fear or energy drain or a sense of being scared. And I'm not suggesting that you just gloss over the things that are showing up for you and, slap lipstick on a pig and call it good and carry on and just only focus on happy, happy, happy. It's notice what you're focusing on, accepting what's going on, and then making choice. to choose the way that you want to feel. Right? I often do this conversion with clients where we start with awareness. It's like, wow, I'm just aware of this. It's just interesting. I'm not going to make it good or bad. It's just, it's interesting. And then I accept it. Again, there's no judgment around it. It's like, I accept that I'm feeling this way and I'm not going to gloss over it. I see it for what it is. And then I'm going to go up and I'm going to choose based on what's showing up for me. How do I want to feel? I'm going to choose that. And then I'm going to practice that. And so, again, if we create what we focus on, if we're focusing on things being really, really hard and insurmountable, they will be. So if you can come in, like, say it's a career change, or maybe it's a job loss. We'll focus on career. I was just working with someone around this. It's like, okay, I'm aware that I'm really scared, or I'm really frustrated, or I'm really nervous about what could happen. Then you go to acceptance, and there it is, right? I'm still breathing. The sun is still out, or the moon is still out, even if I can't see it. So I come into this acceptance that it just is the way that it is. And then I have an opportunity to choose. So I'm worried about this job change. It makes me nervous. It makes me anxious. And in this moment, I would much rather be feeling peace and ease and know that I can do hard things and I'll find a solution. So awareness, acceptance, choice. So that choice piece is so very important. We have more within us than we tap into. Again, when we're focused on the challenge, we feel challenged. And so in this life lesson that just tapped me on the shoulder several times this year, it was, wow, if I create what I focused on, I'm creating more of the discomfort I don't really want to stay in for much longer. What can I do to shift? I can come back into choice. So this may sound weird in a year where so much has happened and there's been so much loss and so much change and so much uncertainty. What I decided to focus on was fun. So remember when we used to have fun? Remember when things were fun? Remember when things felt a little bit easier? Remember when, I don't know, just remember. You might have to go back to age 4 or 5 or 3 or 13 or 17 or 18 or 22, wherever you were feeling it. I invite you to choose it, because you can be aware of what's hard and you can accept what's hard for absolute certainty. And then you get to choose the way that you experience life. And so for me, it was, gosh, given all the variables, can I have fun too? Like, isn't it just time to have some fun? Because there's all these other choices. I can choose to be worried or fearful or sad, lonely, depressed. Like, I could choose all that too, but it's also another option to choose fun. So, and I understand things got pinched off. We used to eat outside for fun with our favorite people at our favorite restaurants, having our favorite food as it came out of the oven hot. Gluten-free pizza takeout is not as good. It just isn't as good as sitting in the restaurant across from your friends, drinking whatever it is that you enjoy drinking. We used to have fun going to concerts or just socializing, shopping, playing sports, meeting new friends. We used to have fun shaking hands in meetings and extending ourselves. We used to have fun hugging our old friends and meeting our new friends. And we don't have that. But that doesn't mean that we can't have fun. So we could focus on not having any of that anymore, or we could focus on creating new ways to enjoy those things in our lives. What can you do? It's interesting. So life happens every single day, and I have hard days just like anyone else. And I was on the phone with a friend of mine who plays guitar, and she played her guitar and she sang me a song because I had told her earlier in the conversation, I just miss live music. I just miss live music. And she too, as a musician and my voice teacher, was missing live music. And so she just belted it out and I had a concert for one, and it was so lovely and it was so fun for both of us. I don't play the guitar and my voice is not that great despite having taken some voice lessons, but how else could I create it? She created it for me and it was so nice. But where can you create it in yours, right? Because life is happening every single solitary day, whether we're in a pandemic or not, whether we're in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 35. There are things that seem to stand in the way of what we want. They seem to stand in the way of our happiness or our health or our success, our connections. And really, the truth is that I learned anyway that what you want to feel is controlled by what you choose to focus on. You have the power within you, just like you have the power within you to endure hard things. You have the power to choose how you handle those hard things and what you choose to change. So, yes, life does get hard. It absolutely gets hard. It's also the other side of that coin is that it's also really, really fun. So, again, if you want things to feel different, look for the fun in it. Look for the audacity in certain things. Look for the silliness. Try to consider not taking yourself as seriously, or the person in front of you who's really struggling. Try not to take them so seriously. Maybe a lighter version of hard is what you can experience in that day. And then maybe you can share it. Have fun for the fun of it. Have fun, be fun, exchange fun, engage others in a fun life. It isn't someone else's job to make you happy. It's not your job to make other people happy. Get happy. Enjoy your happiness. Revel, roll around, laugh till you cry. Enjoy your happiness and then consider sharing it with other people. Like, for the love of God, why else are we here? I think about this sometimes and I'm like, why are we here? Are we really here to solve all these hard problems? Is this really what life is about? No, it's not. It really is not. I've worked with people who have lost the most dear things, people in their life, and they choose fun. So if they can do it, I honor that we all can. And we know that life is precious. As we talked about, this year showed us and served us on a silver platter just how fragile it is. It can change suddenly. We know life was zipping along just old dandy and fine in March, relatively speaking. And then it changed and it got really uncomfortable and it got weird and it got uncertain. And then we adjusted and we got better and better about managing our freaking out. And we got better and better about trying to find ways to do the things we needed to do in a safe way. And that's just proof that we can make changes, right? We have made changes. We made changes probably every single day of this year. So we actually know how to make change. We feel like it's insurmountable, but is it really? Because you just did it a lot. And so now maybe you have developed a stronger muscle around this, or maybe you've developed more tolerance or resilience for creating change. And I think this tucked in with all of these lessons was that things are uncomfortable. Life can be uncomfortable for sure. But on the other side of this discomfort is the outcome that we want, right? It is better health on the other side of sitting with a bowl of carrots and celery, or health is on the other side of that run that you didn't really want to take and it felt really cold out, but you did anyway and you feel better about yourself and maybe you feel like you have more energy. Better connections are on the other side. Not even on the other side, they're in the middle of discomfort. When things get messy, that is where the gems are. That discomfort of the messy, The discomfort of being imperfect and having other people be imperfect is where clarity comes. It's where connection comes. When I mess up with a client, scheduling, or I don't know, we send the wrong document or something, people secretly love it because they think, oh my God, she's normal. She's just like the rest of us. She's not perfect. I don't live up to that standard anymore. What a relief. Can you even imagine if you allowed yourself the discomfort of being imperfect and let it be okay? You would then develop a better relationship with self. So it's not on the other side, it's while you're in it. A more fulfilling career comes when you are uncomfortable with the realization that your job might be soul sucking, or that the way you're showing up with your colleagues, or that the way they're showing up with you is not working. That discomfort is what causes you to take notice. It's what causes you to pause and say, seriously, could this, is this really what this has to be? Or could it be different? More fun happens in the discomfort of maybe a good cry, or feeling overwhelmed, or feeling really frustrated by something. Maybe the choice to have more fun, or the absolute surrender that I can't do it anymore, I'm just going to go play, comes because of that discomfort. And so life is uncomfortable sometimes, and it is precious. So put those two together and understand, or what I've done this year is put those two together and say, yes, it's uncomfortable and life is precious. And yes, I'm going to move my life forward. So don't wait for comfort. It's not going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Mary, come over here. I got a little something for you. It doesn't happen that way, right? It's in the discomfort, pause into that, right? Everything shifts. The best news of all is that these shifts happen within you. So you don't need the world to be open. You don't need to travel. You don't need to sit inside at a restaurant without a plexiglass partition. Enjoy those, or versions of those things within yourself now. Enjoy those things when the world does open up, because you've already developed a skill to have that sense of joy, that sense of freedom, that sense of fulfillment from within you. And now you just enjoy those things because you want to share your happiness, or you want to share your joy in new and different environments, not because you need to. Happy isn't out there. And this year for me, what was reinforced over and over and over again, it's like, right, it is messy and it is hard sometimes and it is uncomfortable. And I can choose to be happy in and amongst all of the challenge and the chaos and the uncertainty. So life serves us, serves you, amazing self growth. And it did, especially on a silver platter in 2020. So take the time to harvest your gems and apply them in your life. How are the things that have shown up as challenge to you given you the clarity, given you the skill and the fortitude and the resolve to practice what you've been doing anyway, which is making change, and now just do it a little bit more mindfully, right? Like it's time to use the toolbox of the skills that you've been developing to handle and go after everything you want, not just anything you want, everything you want. Better health, more deeply connected relationships, new relationships, more fulfilling work, new work potentially, new ways of showing up in the world. Parenting, so much has come up this year with regard to parenting for me and so many, as people are homeschooling or with children going back and forth to college and trying to keep everyone safe. So much has shown up for us with how we see ourselves as a parent, how we parent, and how we allow our children to show us what we need through what they need. It's amazing when we just pause into all of these little gems. I attest and believe firmly that the world is a better place and you are a better place when you allow yourself to get messy and to feel uncomfortable and to do the hard stuff anyway and do it mindfully. So I have a special snow day bonus, we'll call it, or announcement also after the Q&A. But I really want to sink into the Q&A here first, because I really want to help you get real in your life. Like, take my lessons. I always want not to preach and not to tell you that my way is the right way. It absolutely is not. Please don't do me. You are beautifully designed to be you. And as I said before, the world is a better place because you are you. And that being said, are you willing to take what you've learned this year and really grow from it? So I'd love to hear from you how we can apply some of this. So challenge me. These are just my lessons. Challenge me on either what's coming up for you or what's coming up from what I've been sharing. Who wants to go first?
Ellen, hi, it's Kim.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for
Hi.
being willing and vulnerable.
Of course, I think for me
Mhm.
during all of this is just the conflicting information that you get every single day about what's going on in the world and truly what you can believe. And so that for me has been concerning. So I've really stopped watching it all because that just puts such a spin in my mind of just having so much anxiety about all of this. And so I've really shut it down. So that has been something that has been harvested as a gem for me, as you say.
Yep. Can I pause
So
you there? I want you to dig into it. Like, what was the gem?
the
What did you,
gem the gem
what,
is really what you just said, Ellen, so eloquently and beautifully, is that we, no matter what, like with all this that's going on, about, whether you're getting vaccinated or, but really just to go back into my own heart and my own soul and see, am I showing up in the best version of myself, both, as you said, mentally and physically? Am I doing my own work rather than relying on other people to guide me? So that has been a huge gem for me, that I just need to show up and just really be um, empowered by my choices, not listening to what other people have to say. And that sometimes, that spins a little bit for me, but I've been really good about shutting it down. And especially with my children here, that I don't want my children to be inundated with the fear mongering of what goes on.
right?
So that has been huge. And I've watched my mother watch all of this. And it's just very sad that she is, doesn't really have anyone else there, so her companion kind of is the TV. So, and then she gets upset. So it's been really interesting to see how people have either shifted or gone to the other side. So that's just my comment. There's others, but for me, like what you just said really hit home, and I feel like I've done it. I mean, I'm not saying it's perfectly imperfect, but I really appreciate the way that you just laid that out, as you always do so beautifully. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Can I dig into this just a little bit?
Yes.
Sucked off more of the sand on this gem. Is that um, you're not doing this, and this is what I think is so beautiful, and what I want to highlight is that we can't just bury our head and create our own life and be negligent about what else is happening. And if we don't bury our head a little bit to do just what you've done, to understand, okay, what is happening? I'm totally overwhelmed. I'm anxious. I'm worried. I'm fearful for my kids. This isn't really the life that I want to live. Then then we can't come out and then assimilate what's being shared, because there's lessons in what's being shared, and it's mostly to what you said, which is, how do I want to be? And so it's like, if you've ever driven a stick shift, it's like gas and clutch. I'm tuning in so I can learn, and I'm taking some time to pause and choose. Learning, choosing, always together, learning, choosing. Thanks, Kim.
Thanks, Ellen.
You're welcome. I just saw a hand. Was that Marjorie?
Yeah, I was just going to say similar to Kim, and I actually commented too, because to me, it really, the gems come down to choice. And I'm always, I mean, that's a huge kind of party line for me. And I advocate for that, and especially with my work with youth, is that you always have choices. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you choose to respond and see it. So I think that it was just a, you know, reissuing of that and emphasis of that from March on, is that I have a choice of how I respond to this. I have lots of choices. There's some things I don't have choices with, but I have lots of choices also, and I can't feel paralyzed that I'm in this without any choice. So it goes to that, which also to me just really connects with, you know, the circles of control. I really have to look at what I can control and what I can't control. And then I can choose to be a victim or be immobilized or, um, yeah, immobilized, I guess, by the emotions, because I'm not saying not to have them and not to acknowledge them, but then I choose to go do something about them, work through them or whatever. So, you know, it just the lessons are just, I think, and it's probably true for everyone, what's inside us already is that wisdom that we already have, but if we're quiet, we hear it in these times, kind of thing.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that. And I want to put the exclamation point on that, is like, absolutely positively, without question, choose. Like, this is what we're talking about. It's choose. And then practice, right? Like, the sustainable habits, the sustainable health and happiness and connection come because we make it a practice in our life. And so as you come into that choice and it starts to shift things within you, it's like, how can I make this a part of my everyday? You know, is it my morning routine? Is it my midday realignment? Is it my every hour realignment? Is it my success journal at the end of the day? Is it a phone call? Is it time with self? Like, what is it that allows you to practice that feeling or that empowerment over and over again, right? So it starts with awareness. We go to acceptance. We're not just trying to, you know, sunshine it up and not deal with the emotion. It's like, I accept that this is the way that it is, and I'm dealing with it, and I choose however it is that I want to feel. And now I practice it to have it and to enjoy it. And then I believe even as important, or even as important, is to then share it. Share your joy, share your ease, share your peace. You don't have to tell other people how to do it. That's not going to maybe be the way that they would do it. But if you share yourself in that energy of peace and ease and acceptance and liberation and enthusiasm for life despite what's going on, it might become infectious, right? It's like that pebble in the pond. Something's rippling out. What would you rather have ripple out from your life experience?
Yeah.
So it becomes even more empowering when you have a chance to practice it and really live into it every day.
Well, I love what you're saying, is that whole, that choice isn't a verb. Choice is active. It isn't just something passive that we do and then it happens. We have to kind of make it happen. And also that whole, you know, the energy thing again, and I'll say that to kids, that your energy is your currency. That's your power, and use it wisely. Don't just.
What a beautiful lesson. You know, we're teaching math and science and history and data analysis and architecture. Wouldn't it just be so great if we taught kids how to tap into all of this within themselves? You know, we have thoughts and emotions all day, every day, and we're teaching math equations. And no offense to math teachers, like, thank God. Um, but wow, like, what if we were able to really show up and honor, right? Which is what I also learned in this year, is like, honor this skill set, really honor learning how to take care of self. What would shift if we valued not the distractions, but we really valued learning and growing in our happiness and in our health? I can't even imagine. And many of you, you're here because you're on that journey. So I know I'm preaching to the choir here if I were singing,
Well,
but
it's funny that you say that too, and I'll shut up then,
please don't.
because I was what has happened for me since March is that I've really come to know what I want to do. You know, I've been a counselor, educator for 34 years, and I'm now very clear that it's time to leave public education and to do exactly what you're saying. I do this stuff in schools, but my hands are tied in many ways. So I'm going to go out and do that, and I'm going to do it with youth to teach them what I wish I knew then, like what we're talking about as adults. I think we need to bring to kids.
Amen.
And if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think I would have had the time and to reflect and to really get to this point. I would have eventually, but I don't think as early. The clarity wouldn't have come as soon.
I love that showed up for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that you paused into it so you could realize it. And now you can take the next inspired action to experience it.
Gabrielle Bernstein, next inspired action.
Yeah. I'd be honored to be in the same category. It's something she's quoted. So interesting. So one of the things that, oh yes, please share. Is it Suzanne?
Yes. Hi, Ellen. This is wonderful. This is so great. And all the while I was making pesto, putting all that love that you were talking about, put that right in there, and enjoying my snow day. And great conversation. And it really got me to thinking that the way forward through this is very similar to recovering from a chronic disease. Mm-hmm. And I relate to that with chronic Lyme disease. And it was like years journey, of unwinding every single level of every single thing and rebooting my life, because body had grown too separate from spirit kind of thing. So it's like bringing that all back together. And I think that that's for me, one of the best ways forward is just like, okay, it's just, recalibration and reboot and, really focus on the positive, and as much as possible. So, just wanted to put that in there,
There's two things. So I appreciate you sharing that. Two things. One, I love that you're making pesto, right? Like snow day and life is about being fun or having fun or enjoying your life. And so for you, sounds like you like pesto. And so you're listening to this, you're participating, and you're doing something that you really enjoy. And I was having a conversation with another friend, and this was a couple weeks ago, and I was saying, I just really miss dressing up. Like I have all these beautiful clothes and I just miss dressing up. And so last week I did a presentation to 250 people at this company. And I wore one of my beautiful DVF wrap dresses, and I had my high heel suede boots on. I was in my office. I wasn't going to see a single soul, but it just was the fun thing to do. Today, I have my leather leggings on and my high heel boots. You can't see me from here down, but for me, it's fun to put on my girly girl clothes and enjoy them. And so whatever fun is for you, please receive my beautifully designed and spruced up invitation to you to have more fun in your day. And no matter what, people have some really, 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 really hard and dangerous things going on. And they're finding little slices of fun to experience and then share with their loved ones or their liked ones. It doesn't even have to be your close peeps. It could be anyone. If you're on social media, considering what's going on in social media, maybe take a little slice of fun and sprinkle it on in there as well. Always. And the other thing, go ahead.
Always that.
Always. I love that. And the other thing I wanted to draw out from what you were saying is, you're right. Like when people get diagnosed with something, life changes and they are on it. Mm-hmm. They are on it. So please open my invitation for more fun and more joy and more peace and more ease and more fulfilling work and success. Mm-hmm. Before. You don't need that. You don't need it. You already have received the invitation, and now it's yours to open and employ through whatever it is that you would do. If you had a big shocking experience that puts you in it, you'd get to work, right? Right. You've all had stress. Maybe you had a deadline. You're like, I got to bust this out and get this done. And maybe it squeezes out the juiciest content because you are limited. Okay, we're limited right now. So allow this to squeeze out the juicy content of your life and do it. now is the time. So I see the time. I want to share with you. Let me see if I can pull this up while we're here. Let me see if I can move this on over. I'm going to do a screen share here in just a second, but I want to gift you with something because in a busy season and there's so much going on, and I do like things that are fun, and I do love giving gifts. That makes me very happy. As this past year has shown us, we can handle change, and so much could be put on hold, right? We could put things on hold again, or you could take what you're learning here and you could apply it. So I want to ask you the question, why would you wait any longer to live the life that you want? It's really time. And so we got clear, we got connected, we learned that we can do hard things. We also learned how important connections are and physical and mental health is to our overall sense of well-being and the well-being we experience in our relationships. We learned about resiliency. We learned that that things are within our control, especially when they feel like they're out of our control. So with the past to support us, it's time to get into this present moment to intentionally create the vision that you have for your life and really structure your future based on the vision that you have right now. It will change, I promise you. It's supposed to change and evolve. And so if you have this one beautiful life and you're excited to enjoy it, consider all the ways that you can. And I want to share a couple of things that I have coming up as support tools as you learn how to do this. Every year, and 2021 will be no exception, although there's a little shift in the process. I do something called Ideal Year Workshop, where you can harvest your gems a little bit more, but we have a really fun and impactful day, and it gives you this sacred space to dream and to do and to plan and to experience different shifts within yourself, to really create and start creating everything that you want. And people say, like, you're overselling this day. I'm not saying you're going to leave this day and your whole life's going to be different. You're going to learn the tools to make the changes. So we're going to pull that out of you. I'm going to sprinkle so much of what I've learned and so many of my tools. And especially there's so much great stuff for this year because of what I've learned and how I've grown this year. So I'm really excited to share with you that there's a lot of magic ahead for us, and we don't have to wait for it. We can create it regardless of what's coming up. So in this workshop day, it's from 9 to 4. We have a break for lunch. I have a special guest coming for lunch this year. It's on January 23rd. We're going to be doing a grounding and clarity exercise. We're going to leverage the clearing to shift anything that's been getting in your way. We're going to do a hands-on project that brings together all of your senses. I really love hands-on things. We'll have that lunch break that we talked about. And then we're going to do something, which I always do, called Fueling for Success, but there's a little bit of a spin on it this year, which is super fun, mind, body, and spirit. And one of the things that I've worked a ton on myself this year, and with my kids and with my clients, is getting out of our head and into our body. And we want to try to solve things all up and in here. And really, that's not where the answers are. So I'm going to teach you some things. I'm going to have some other folks teach us some things that help us leverage this to get into the feeling part of who we are, to create change that's lasting. So I'll also teach you some other specific skills on how to make your ideal year sustainable. So it's not just your resolution. It's not just through March. It's really an opportunity to keep visiting and revisiting throughout the year. So again, things don't change, people change. And I know there are a lot of people that tell you that people don't change. The invitation is yours every single solitary day to be the next version of who you are. And it's time to open our minds and our thoughts and create some skills. So that's coming up. Also, I think I have this somewhere on a slide. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, here it is. Oh, let me do a screen share with you. Stephanie was so amazing and created some slides for us to enjoy. And Stephanie, my apologies. I didn't zip through these while we were going through this, but you remember the whole purpose of what we're doing is to harvest these gems. And then, oh, I know I didn't share it because it was too hard to share, but let me stop this for 1 second. I'm going to go through to where we are right now and do a screen share. This is what I love about being imperfect and making the commitment to be imperfect. Let me share with you what's next. So that's that Ideal Year workshop. The registration is now live. We have people that have already registered. It is not an in-person event. It is a live stream this year. And we're really excited. We have people that come in from all over for it, but this year you can do it from the comfort and convenience of your home. We have some things we're going to be sending out to folks before the event. And we also have the Ideal Life Method class starting on February 3rd. And that is a 5-module program, which lasts for 6 weeks, that really helps you tap into all of the different foundational tools and skills that we talked about today in a condensed period of time in a small group environment. So you get my one-on-one attention, and you also get quantum coaching from the other folks. So both of those links are live. And what I want to offer you, because you've stayed to the end, how many people do we have on the end here? Oh, a small group of you. Lovely. Thanks for staying. Because you're here today, if you participate in either of these programs, you're going to get a free month of the Ideal Life Accountability Group. So in that accountability group, we stay focused on sharing a lesson that's unique for that particular week. But we also do coaching. So it's a really, really affordable way to have one-on-one coaching with me, and also get the support of others that are going through things so you can learn through their lessons. And typically you have to sign up for that 3 months at a time, but I'm offering a special group for folks that go through either of these programs, and your first month will be free. So I offer that to you. I appreciate you for being here. I really appreciate you making yourself a priority and joining me on this special snow day. I appreciate that you made the time, and it really, if I can be helpful outside of those programs, in any way that you're continuing your journey, please reach out and set up some time in my calendar. I always offer a consultation. But in the meantime, I hope you choose to enjoy this day, and I hope you choose to enjoy every single day, and especially during this unusual holiday season. I hope that you will feel the many blessings that you have in your life, big and small, and share them with the people that you really care about, and even those that you don't know. I really do believe that our energy can make such a huge difference in the world, and it just requires us to show up as us. So hopefully it's the easiest thing you can do in your day, and just share a little bit of your inside magic with the world. And because you're all here, you get a copy of this recording, which we will send out to you in the next couple of days. Thank you so, so, so much for joining us.